Well, thank you guys for clicking on this video. I'm normally doing a radio, don't normally do video, but here we are doing video. And I had a story to tell you guys. For years and years and years, I've been the host of After Hours AM Radio. You can find me on iHeartRadio. Been a lot of years, a lot of fun, a lot of awesome stuff. But I'm going to tell you what got me into the paranormal. For years, I've been doing radio about the paranormal. Here's my tale. 1998, I was working at a small radio station. It was a classic country radio station. Really not my thing. I'm not a country guy. But I used to work with one of the coolest guys I ever met. His name was Roy. Roy was a cowboy, of all things. And here I was, Midwesterner, living in another state, working at a classic country station. So, like many times in radio, especially when you're first breaking in, you have to work whatever shifts you can get. Mine happened to be the night shift. I was straight midnights. Anyone that's worked at radio can definitely agree with that is the worst shift to be on. Graveyard shift would run from 7 p.m. all the way until about 7 a.m. And you had to find things to do, things to occupy your time in between records. Now, back in those days, we had CDs. This is 1998. We didn't have MP3s yet. So everything was done manually with CDs. So, getting back to what's so crazy about this story, is every Sunday morning, Roy would come on the air after me. He had a show called On the Trail with Cowboy Roy. Original, right? But every time Roy was coming in, I really enjoyed talking with Roy. Good dude. Great stories. Could tell you all about what it was like to be busting broncs and riding bulls. And also doing the whole cattle driving stuff down in Texas. It was awesome, man. It was awesome to hear about it. Awesome to hear his tales. Well, Roy never missed a beat. Every Sunday morning, we'd sit down. We would talk. We'd have a good time. He loved baseball. We talked about baseball together. We talked about really whatever. He was just a fun guy to be around. Well, that morning rolls around, Sunday morning. Like every other Sunday morning, Roy shows up. So I put an extra long set getting ready for the studio for him on the radio so I could go out, greet him, let him know, hey, station's ready whenever you are. And there he was. We talked a little bit. He drank a little bit of coffee in a styrofoam cup. We talked a little bit about baseball, who's winning, who's losing, all that whole thing. So, without a beat, he says, I gotta go. Time to hit the trail. And that's what he'd always tell me. Time to hit the trail when you had to go on air. So he left. He went into the studio. Now, this radio station I was employed at was a two-story station. Downstairs was the business offices. Upstairs is where the broadcasting would happen. And so you'd have to walk through the business offices to leave the building. Now, bear in mind, this is a Sunday morning. Usually bosses are not around on a Sunday. It is odd to see them. And if there is something going on a Sunday and the bosses are there, there is problems at the station. So as I came downstairs, I ran into Steve. That was my boss at the time. And he was standing there. And I said, Steve, what are you doing here? What's going on? You know, what brings you into the station? Everything, as far as I know, is going fine. We did everything correctly. Everything's running the way it should. You shouldn't even be here. Looks at me right in the face, and he says, unfortunately, Joel, I'm here because I have to cover the shift for Roy. I said, well, you can go home. He's here. I just talked to him. I said, no, you don't understand. Roy's not coming back because he died in his sleep last night. I'm like, well, what are you talking about? Roy is here. Roy is very much alive, and he's upstairs. I said, no, he passed away, and I realize you guys are friends. I'm sorry this is the way you're going to find out about it. You're here all night, and normally when you're on air, you don't take calls. Back in those days, there was no cell phones. They weren't around that much in 98. I didn't have one at the time. The only thing I had to get a hold of me was a studio line, and nobody called that to let me know that Roy had passed. So he said, no, unfortunately, Roy had passed, And I lost all just, just wow. He could tell I was frazzled. I said, no, Steve, he's here. He's upstairs. In fact, let me take you upstairs and I'll show you. So we went upstairs, went up to the studios, and the studio was completely empty. No Roy. None. No Roy. But in the break room, the oddest thing, because I was starting to question my own sanity at this point, the styrofoam cup that he was drinking that coffee out of was still on the table. Was still there. Isn't that crazy? This guy was dead. I talked to him. I had no idea. He never said goodbye. He didn't say, you're not going to see me anymore. He didn't say anything. He was acting like he was just there to do his job. Nothing was amiss. Have you ever run into that before? What do you guys think? Mention something in the comments. Now, I got a lot more videos coming. This is just the first of many. They're going to get better as we go. I'm new to this whole video thing. So anyone that wants to give me pointers or help me out or point me in the right direction, feel free to do so. This is the first time. Then and please subscribe and like, all that kind of good stuff. Thanks a ton, guys, for listening to my strange story. Many more strange stories are to come because, oh boy, since then have I had some paranormal encounters. You all take care of yourselves. Like I always say on the radio, take care of each other and love each other.